Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, welcome back to another awesome edition of the Best Practices Show podcast. In this episode, I interview three of my heroes, Dr. Josh Austin, Dr. Bill Robbins, and Dr. Jim Otten, three of the best educators in this awesome profession. We had what was called the Global Diagnosis Education Symposium here at our headquarters, and it was amazing. And beforehand, we had a little pre-chat. So here's a little sneak peek at what we learned at GDE and the pre-chat. You guys are going to love this, so listen up. I hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Hey guys, welcome back to the Best Practices Show podcast. I got a special episode today because I have three of my dearest friends in all of dentistry here, Dr. Josh Austin, Dr. Bill Robbins, and Dr. Jim Otten in the house. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
We've done live before. We've done ADA and all that, but just not here in this building.
Not here in this building. This is the first time we've gotten you to come to Milwaukee. Or Milwaukee. You know,
the
Milwaukee.
Yeah,
the good land. Did you get a t-shirt?
I did not.
Okay.
I did not, but I do remember Wayne's World.
You do. Yeah.
Bill has no idea what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
he does. It's okay. It's all right.
I do know Wayne's World.
Yeah. So let's start here because we got a lot of differently. We have, dental students listening, younger dentists. I always like to start with the who. Who do we got here? Josh, introduce yourself.
You guys have heard me a lot here. I don't know if I need to rehash all the past.
I like rehashing, so let's go.
Restorative dentist in San Antonio, Texas. Been practicing for, this is going to make you feel old, 17 years now.
Wow, 17 years.
Yeah. Was fortunate enough to run into this gentleman next to me on my left, Dr. Robbins, when I was a child, basically. I've known him ever since. And his global diagnosis and core system has changed my life. It's changed my practice. It's changed what I do. And I've been fortunate enough to try to bring some of that into some of the other things I do, which involve Invisalign and that ecosystem. And this is information that isn't quite as out there as it should be.
Yeah. Love it. Bill, give us the lowdown. Who are you?
All right, so I'm Bill Robbins. I'm a general dentist in San Antonio also, and I've been practicing for 50 years. This is my 50th year.
Good God.
And I am proud to be sitting next to Josh because I knew Josh when he was just a pup.
Wow.
And I'm sure we'll get into this more, but because that's what today's about. But his father was a teacher at the dental school where I taught. We officed next to each other, and we were actually very good friends. And I knew him when he literally was a teenager, and I watched him grow into who he is today.
Yeah.
I'm very proud.
That's one thing I didn't know. I didn't know that your office was right next to your dad's office.
Yeah.
Wow.
Before he became a deanlet, he was a worker bee down where I worked, and he was with students, and the students loved him so much that they moved him upstairs to be I guess he was associate dean of student affairs for a while.
Yeah.
And he was a wonderful man.
That's awesome.
We're going to hear a lot about him today for sure.
Let's do it. Dr. Jim Otten.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great, man.
Who are you?
I am the proud grandfather of an aerospace engineer who took me flying up the coast of California 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
As a pilot.
That's pretty cool.
That is really cool when you think about pushing your kids in a stroller at a high rate of speed, and then they're piloting an airplane. That's my best achievement.
Yeah.
The rest of it is all gravy.
Yeah.
And she's a pole vaulter, right?
She's a pole vaulter. She's a world-class pole vaulter. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Was fourth in the state of California. No, she was fourth in the nation when she was in high school, and now she's developing that into a Division I career now too. And it's not really a career for her. She wants to be an aerospace engineer.
Very nice.
Yeah. And on the side, I was a restorative dentist. Still am. I guess you don't ever
Yeah.
give that up.
It's your side hustle?
It's my side hustle.
Okay.
Right. It's become my side hustle.
Yeah.
Taught at a lot of institutes, facilitated and hopefully made a dent in somebody's life along the way.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you guys are all here in Milwaukee for the Global Diagnosis Symposium. And I want you to talk about the why behind that. You're going to be speaking today, kicking us off.
With you?
Well, you're going to be kicking off.
Well, yeah, but
I like...
I'm opening for you.
No. Well, in dentistry, that means that the head, if this is a concert, well, I don't know how I'd say that. The first person that goes is usually the headliner. The person that goes after is just like,
Is it
supporting.
the cleanup crew?
Yeah, cleanup crew. So, but let's talk about the GDE. Tell us what Global Diagnosis is and why we're here. Let's talk about that.
All right. So Global Diagnosis Education is a platform that Jim and I started about 3.5 years ago. And Jim and I have been friends for many years, peripherally, probably for 20 years through our association to start with, the Restorative Academy. And then our friendship grew, and because we had a lot of commonalities. And we actually talked pre-COVID. He came to San Antonio, he and Vicky, and we actually spent a weekend talking about what we might do together after we retired as we moved into the next phase of our profession. And but we never acted on it. We talked about it, but we never, consulting and that sort of thing. And then you are the one that opened the door to us. I mean, I've said this a million times, but when we were all in early March in a state of panic, March of 2020, when the world stopped, you were the one that stepped up and started the COVID relief conference that went for 10 weeks, 5 hours a day with world-class speakers. And Jim and I were involved with you in putting that on peripherally, and we got a lot of face time being on that platform for 10 weeks. And at the end of it, we said, this is it. This is our opportunity to start what we had talked about. And so we started this virtual online community, GDE. And we've been at it now for 3.5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. What we know is that, and what we found since that sort of reaffirmed some of our belief, and our success is just, an accident that we were able to overcome, is the way I always look at it. But what we found is that there is a desperate need for a dentist and professionals to really be able to organize their thought process in an orderly way and be able to implement in their practice. That many very well-accomplished dentists, some who know far more about the detail of dentistry than we do, have trouble and struggle like we did, in our own practices, organizing and facilitating. So we know they're looking for a safe space where they can be themselves, they can be authentic, that we can talk about our successes and failures, they look for guidance, community, and that community is Global Diagnosis, helping them to organize the process, but also standing with them and walking through the fire with them.
Yeah, and go back to that. I mean, the reality is it's pretty lonely being a dentist sometimes and being an entrepreneur. And then you take all these courses, you come back and you go, wow, that was beautiful.
Right.
Yeah,
but I got to go home.
I do an MO composite on number 3, and then it's back to whatever you were doing before.
So you're caught in this gap.
Mm-hmm.
And you were just talking about before we hit the go button, the gap. You get to see dentists that are good-hearted, well-meaning, explain the gap between where they are and where they want to go.
It's just, it's the path, we all just naturally take the path of least resistance. And so bringing something back to your practice is hard. It's hard to institute it. And we think about it in our heads and we turn it over. But at the end of the day, it's hard to then execute. And so if you don't have that continuing thing, whether it be a study club that's in person, whether it be a study club online, whether it be a small community of local docs, whatever it is, got to have that thing that just continues to push you to do it. And for me, it was our chapter of the Seattle Study Club. That's really what fueled that. And there's been no organization that's been more important to my career than that. But it's not everyone has the ability to do that. Now we have technology that can bridge that gap. It just has to be a constant thing. It has to be the community around it that's pushing people to do it. Because if not, we just go back to what's easy.
Yeah.
It's about mentorship. What it really boils down to is, and what we found in the feedback from our group is that what they appreciate most is the mentorship. That there's a consistent contact that helps them overcome all these cultural pieces that push against them. because if you're doing interdisciplinary restorative dentistry at a high rate, at a high level of implementation, you're going to get pushback from a lot of the systems that are in place, and you've got to be able to overcome that. And as a solo practitioner, I spend a lot of time staring in the mirror going, well, what the hell do I do now? But if I had people like Bill, which I have, and other people along the way that could help me through this, help me solve this problem, that takes you to the next step and takes you out of the default behavior that you've created that keeps you from moving to the next. And failure is extremely important. Try it, fail at it, learn from it, move on.
Yeah. And go back to the mentorship thing. So if I'm 53, I've been in this for 30 some years. Mentorship, there was a word called preceptorship, way back when. Yeah. And mentorship was like, the guy next door or the person that you met. It was very local. I feel like it was a local thing. Right. And it's changed quite a bit now. And I hear this from dentists all the time. They're like, well, I can't find a mentor. How do I find a mentor? Well, you don't really find a mentor. You got to go get a mentor, don't you? Don't you think?
Yeah, and a lot of it's organic as well. I mean, there's always dental societies want to do these mentorship programs where they assign somebody to somebody, and that never. I mean, it's an arranged marriage. It rarely works. It has to come organically.
Yeah, mine didn't work out.
So it just that stuff has to come organically, but it has to come from the. I like the word protege. I hate the word mentee. I feel like that it is in the dictionary, but I just feel like it was added later to annoy me. It's protege. Right. Mm-hmm. The protege has to be the one that seeks it out. But when you use the word preceptorship to me is a defined period of time. You get preceptored for a certain period of time until you are competent, and then that relationship ends and you are then off on your own. And that never happens in dentistry. Right. We need a mentor throughout our entire career, no matter what. And I mean, one of yours, I would guess, is still Jim Summit to this day.
For sure, for sure.
And even contemporaries, Jeff, I would guess is still a mentor of yours, even though you're a little bit older than him and have worked together with. I mean, that need never goes away, no matter what stage your career is in, and so that's why I like the mentorship thing better than the idea of preceptorship or dentistry having some required preceptorship or whatever. I just don't see that as being an answer to it.
It's a lifelong relationship. Yeah. Ends when you're dead.
And another real problem is that we all are familiar with a handful of amazing teaching institutes in the United States. And these teachers are some of the best on earth that are available to us in the United States. But the problem is that the implementation part of it is not managed very well. And so people go and they pay a lot of money and spend a lot of time learning this amazing information from the best teachers on earth. But then they go back and on Monday morning, they've still got to face the dental assistant that says, I'm pregnant and I'm going to be gone for 4 months, and the denture patient they hate. And implementing the stuff that they learned last week into their practice is so difficult to do. And I think that is the gap that Global Diagnosis Education crosses over. And we become the implementation arm because we're familiar with what these institutes teach. We've been to most of them and taught in some of them. And so we feel like we are the bridge for these people of implementing what they learned in these amazing CE centers into their practices.
Yeah, 50 years of practice. You guys have been doing this. Give us your highlight. Bridging the gap. What are some of the notable highlights that you've experienced as a teacher this year? You're like, wow, where you probably called Jim after the session's over and go, that was pretty cool.
Well, one of them happened to me last night. So we were at a little cocktail party last night with people that are here for our symposium this week. And one of the people that has become an amazing member of our group is Crystal Snyder. And Crystal did her AGD program at the VA in San Antonio. And my son, she did this in 2013, and it is an amazing program, really an amazing program. Scott Douglas is the director, and he's an amazing dentist. And my son, who graduated from dental school in May, is now doing that same program. And so Crystal, last night we were talking about Dr. Douglas, and she said, this man changed my life. I will forever be grateful to him for what he did. And she said, how's it going for Andrew? And I said, Andrew, he's been involved in this program now since June. And so he's getting his butt kicked. And he goes in at 7 and he comes home at 7 or 7:30 and he's still not done. And his head is spinning right now. And she just laughed and she said, yeah, I remember how that felt. I remember that. So we took a picture of each other, took a selfie, and I sent it to Scott. And I said, Scott, it's always wonderful to know that what you've done for the profession over all these years you've been running the program is alive and well, because I'm here with one of your old students, Crystal, and she was telling me how much you've impacted her life. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate what you've done, number one, and number two, what you're doing for my son now.
Yeah.
And he wrote back and